Friend, this is one episode you're going to be so thankful you listened to because my friend Rebecca is about to pour it out. And if we had the time, this episode would have been hours long because Rebecca is truly incredible. And she's going to talk about being a waymaker. And we're going to talk about the gates that you have to walk through and the purpose that you have in your life. And so stay tuned, friend, because this is surely going to become, I think, one of your favorite episodes. Hey friend, welcome to Milk and Honey with Lemon. The Bible says in Numbers 14:8, and if the Lord is pleased with us, he will bring us safely into that land and give it to us. It is a rich land flowing with milk and honey. On this podcast, we talk about stepping into that overflow that God has for us by becoming those ultimate Proverbs 31 women. Hey, I'm Lemon. I am just like you, sister friend. I knew God had something more in store for me, but I couldn't see a way out of the laundry piles. And frankly, I resented that Proverbs 31 woman. How was I going to live up to the hype? That is until I found out how to really step into becoming this Proverbs 31 woman through leadership development. In this podcast, you're going to find financial freedom, leadership growth, and motivation so you'll be able to do all the things God has called you to do with ease and really step into that land of milk and honey. Welcome back to the Milk and Honey podcast. I'm your host, Lemon Price, and I am so beyond excited because I have my friend Rebecca Faith with me. She is just one of the most amazing people, and it's very rare that I have somebody on the podcast that I've actually met in person and hugged in person. I met her through Michelle, which you guys just heard on the podcast not that long ago, and Rebecca has the coolest story. So Rebecca actually was born in rural Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. If you guys know anything about Lancaster County, I know she can tell you some things. I've lived in that vicinity, so I know a thing or two about that area. And Rebecca truly is, I think, one of the most prophetic and talented women that I know. She's a minister. She's lived in South Africa. She's lived in Belgium. She's here in the US. Right now, she's traveling with her hubby and her 7-year-old, snuck her away from family to do this. Listen, guys, just go read her bio in the show notes because I could say a million good things about her. So thank you for being here, Rebecca, friend.
Absolute pleasure. Love it. Love you. And just a pleasure to talk with friends, which is what I feel like I'm doing today on this podcast.
Oh, I love it. Guys, Rebecca truly is one of the most incredible. I was telling her before we got on here that she spoke at GPA a few months ago, and I took 7 pages of notes. And I feel like you weren't even fully in yet. You were like getting in your groove when we had hit the hour. And 7 pages of notes. So if you don't have, I don't know, pause the episode, go get a notebook and pen because every time she speaks, I want to take notes, even just having normal conversations. So you're going to want to do that. So I'm excited. Because you said God put something on your heart you wanted to talk about. So
yes. And listen, I encourage you, have a place in your phone where you can take notes or have a notebook or have a journal or something that's set aside, because here's what I know for sure. Seek and you will find. God is not looking for perfection in the earth. He's not looking for the most qualified. When he looks around who he's going to use, he's like, all right, who's got the right credentials, who went to the right school, who goes to the right church, who's part of the right denomination. That's just not how God rolls. And he looks for the hungry. He looks for the hungry. And this is kind of a side note, but I travel a lot to different churches, and my husband and I are in ministry and minister different places, and have our own ministries that our own ministry, but own churches that we've either helped to pioneer or start or go and minister at throughout the world. And one thing I've found is that you're visiting other places. It ain't your people. It ain't your style. You step in and you're just like, okay, bless them. They got the worship going. And I'm a worship leader and really a psalmist, if you're familiar with that term, which is more than someone who just leads people in worship. It's like, we want to see what God's doing. We want to be able to we call it ascent and descent, which is what Bethel really means. The house of God, a place of ascent and descent. In other words, we're not just existing, hoping God hears our worship or our prayers, but we're actually looking up in the heavens and saying, okay, God, right now, what are you saying? But what are you saying? What do you want me to know? And then we hear it, we feel it, we see it, we sense it, however it is that you hear God, and then you begin to activate it. You do it on earth, you bring it, you activate it in your life. And so this to me is what church and worship should really be about: ascent and descent, giving and receiving, giving in this great exchange. And so we travel. I've been in churches where it's like, this is interesting, but here's the crazy thing. I can always meet God. because my exchange with God, my interaction with Him, thankfully, fortunately, is not determined by the level of other people's ability to lead me in worship, or even the pastor's ability to lead me or give me revelation in a sermon. It's not, they are not our mediator to God. The praise and worship band, even the music, the songs, the sermon is not meant to be a mediator. We were given direct access. When Christ died, He said, now I want you to come boldly into my throne room, not a throne room of judgment, a throne room of grace, where you will find help and mercy in time of need. Listen, friends, I think we get this mixed up with, like, again, I was born in a very conservative religious environment. And here's the crazy thing about religion. It'll tell you things, you'll know things, but nobody's ever said it because it's a spirit. Okay. I'm diving in the deep end today, but it's a spirit. So it's like, I'll say, we knew this. And my mom, well, I never told you that. And I'm like, you didn't have to. Like, you just know it. Like, I'm not allowed to do that. I'm going to be looked at twice if I wear that. Can't do that. No, can't say that. Can't look like that. Can't be too flashy. Nobody said don't be flashy, right? Nobody said don't wear big earrings. Nobody said, who do you think you are when you're wearing some colorful outfit? Nobody said that to me, but I felt it. I heard it. I sensed it. And so just being aware that, like, I get to come boldly into His throne room, I get access. And no matter what the worship is like in the church service, no matter what the pastor is saying, I can still meet with God, because if I seek Him, I will find Him. And guess what? Same goes vice versa. If I'm looking for trouble, guess what I'm going to find?
Oh, she
You
said
betcha.
it.
Hey, if I'm looking for drama, guess what I'm going to find? So, listen, I came to a point in my life where I realized, whether it was me or a friend or somebody else, I don't know if I'm comfortable with peace, because I'm so used to drama. I'm so used to things going on that peace makes me uncomfortable. And so you start creating the drama because it's actually a comfort zone. All right, somebody need to hear that today. All right, so I got something I want to just share with you guys, and hope this encourages you today, because this is what I know the Lord has been whispering into my heart in the last few months. And just, I like to chew on things. Some people call it meditation. I'm not against that at all. It's actually very biblical. But for some people, especially, I come from a religious background, and meditation was like this woohoo thing. They kind of up there with all the potentially demonic things. Like, we're not sure where this belongs, so we're going to put it up there with the unknown. But meditate just means to chew on, to think about, to be intentional in your thought process about it. And so there's a scripture in Isaiah 62, verse 10. Okay, I'm reading from the New King James, and I want you to hear what I'm saying today, because this isn't just for you as leaders, for those of you who lead. And newsflash, we all lead. We start by leading ourselves. Hello. You know whose voice it is that you trust the most? I'd love to say it's God's. It's yours. Your voice is the voice you trust the most. So you are absolutely 100% all leaders, because you lead yourself. You may not be the leader of your marriage, and it may not be the leader in your workplace, but you are a leader. Okay. So hear that from a leadership perspective. It says this, Isaiah 62:10. Go through the gates, prepare the way for the peoples, build up the highways, take out the stones, and lift up a banner for the peoples. All right. Then you'll be like, what in the world? Go through what gates, to what banner, to what stones? All right. I want to break this down for you real quick. Gates in old cities, okay? We don't have gates going into our cities today. Not physical ones anyway. But gates going into the city, they symbolize a place of authority. The elders, the leaders of the city, used to sit at the gates. They would guard the gates. They watched who went through the gates, because they knew gates gave people access to their city, to their resources, to their people, to people's minds. It gave them permission. If you got through the gates, you had access. Go through the gates. I believe God is calling us as believers. And listen, God is calling you. God is calling all of you today. I don't know if you even believe in God. I don't know where you stand with God. I don't know what you're looking for. I don't know what you're hungry for. I don't know what you're busy spending your time pursuing, but I know this. He's pursuing you. Not so that you can go to a church and subscribe to a membership. That's not why. Because his kingdom is on earth and he's inviting you to something deep and rich. Not just a ticket to heaven when you die. Not just so you can check the box and say, all right, I said the sinner's prayer, check, I'm going to heaven. Now let me just see if I can survive on earth. You weren't created to survive. You were created to thrive. You were created to go through the gates, to build up the highway, to take out the stones and lift up a banner for the people. Maybe those people are your children. Maybe those people are the generations coming after you. Maybe those people are the generation that has already come, that's living, but they've been surviving for so long, they don't know how to thrive. And they think maybe it's too late. I was privileged to have breakfast with my mom, my aunt, one of her friends today. And oh my goodness, I love these women, but they've been through some stuff. They've seen some things. My parents are in their 60s. My aunt is in her early 70s. And I'm looking at them, and all I could see was just God calling them to hope. Your life is not finished yet. I don't care where you are today. Let me tell you something, friend. It is not finished. If you are here on earth, you're breathing, there is purpose. I'm going to say that again. If you are here and you are living, there is purpose. And you may not even be looking for it in God, but he's found it in you. He
Dang,
finds purpose
girl.
in you.
Girl.
He does. He does. You may not be looking for it in God. That's okay. Did you know God is not intimidated by your questions? He's not even intimidated by your unbelief.
Mm,
He's not. In fact,
mm.
he said, come to me. You're weary, you're tired, you're burdened. Come to me. See, religion twists it and says, listen, you're only qualified to come to God when you got it together. When you know who he is, when you worship the way that pleases him, when you got good church attendance, when you're tired. That's what religion says. God says, no, if you're tired and you're weary, come to me. I'm going to give you rest. He didn't say he's going to give us a new list of rules to follow and things that are just a bit much. God, I don't know if I can do all that. I don't know if I can serve you. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I'm righteous enough. No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. He said, come to me and I will give you rest. Take my burden upon you because my burden is easy and light. Yeah, when we create our own burdens, and they ain't easy and they ain't light. And I feel like sometimes we take a measure of pride in the burdens we carry. Oh, life is hard, but God is good. I mean, it's true, right? Life can be hard and God is good, but there's no pride in carrying burdens that he didn't give you. There's no joy in fighting a battle that he didn't lead you into. And so this scripture, go through the gates, prepare the way for the people, build up the highway, take out the stones and lift up a banner. So we talked about gates. Let me talk about a banner. See, the armies, they had banners. And those banners were from victories they've won. And so when the armies would go to march towards each other, I get that we've never experienced this, but just picture with me, if you will, some like one of those old TV shows where they're all suited up and going to war, Braveheartish style. And they're coming over the hills and the armies are about to meet. Now imagine as they cross over that hill, they lift up their banners. They're letting that army know, listen, honey, this ain't our first rodeo. Look at this banner. This is the victory of this. This is the victory of that. And they lift up their banners. They're going to war, and those banners, they're a sign of intimidation because they say, listen, I've got a track record. I've been here before and I've won. Did you know that in your life, you get to lift up a banner for other people? As an entrepreneur, you get to lift up a banner for the peoples. As a parent, you get to lift up a banner for your children. As a child, you get to lift up a banner for your parents. Listen, your parents fought for things you'll never understand. Your parents face things. They may not have done well. They may not have succeeded at the things that they were given from the generation before them. We don't always fight well. We don't always know what to do. We just accept what is handed to us and try to survive. But you get to be a banner, even to your parents. You get to be a banner in your community. You get to lift something up that says, listen, I get that the way we've come wasn't easy, but I've gone here and I've taken out the stones and I've built up a highway so that you don't have to go through what I went through. You may have your own journey. You may have your own things you're going to face. In fact, you will. I know you will. But I know that our lives are for more than just surviving and hopefully getting to the end and being able to have a gravestone somewhere that people can remember us by. We were created for more than that. You were created to go through the gates. You were created to have access to things that your parents didn't have access to. Literally, in this day and age with technology and AI and the things, I mean, I can meet with Lemon and we can do this. We're reaching you on a podcast. This didn't exist when we were kids. Hello. Well, I don't know how old you are, Lemon. You look good, but it didn't exist when I was a kid.
I'm not that much younger. I feel like we're close to the same age. I'm 33.
Yeah, I'm 41. You're good. Yeah,
We're the
we're
same.
close.
We're the same.
Close. I identify as a 33-year-old. So I think that's what maybe counts, how we see ourselves. And so you're going through the gates, you're given access to things that maybe others in your family, maybe others in your community weren't given access to. I was born and raised in Lancaster, and it's kind of like, oh man, I have so much respect for the community. I have so much respect for the rich family heritage that I have. But we know our aunts and uncles and great aunts and uncles, and we know our Freundschaft. That's what they call it in German, Pennsylvania Dutch is your ancestry. We know where we come from. We know our cousins, second cousins, third cousins, fourth cousins. Family's a big deal. And the way community comes together is amazing. I'm so thankful for that. But boy, I couldn't wait to leave. I could not wait. It's like I'm made for more than this. I don't feel like I'm going to get what I need by staying where I am. Have you ever felt that way? Like you look around you and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to get what I need by staying where I am. Maybe you feel that way physically, right? That you're not going to get what you need by physically staying where you are, but maybe also spiritually. You may not have to move physically, but maybe spiritually, you're not going to get what you need by staying where you are. And God's calling you up. He's saying, listen, come and discover, seek and find. He's inviting you to more. Maybe you look around and say, I'm not gonna grow by staying where I am with the friendship circle or the place where you are just in your emotions, your emotional intelligence. Let that capacity grow. Surround yourself with people who are going to give you access, who are going to cause you to grow, who are going to challenge you, who are going to be able to speak the truth in love into your life. Go through the gates.
Friend. She's on. I told you guys, Rebecca's always on fire every time I talk to her. So, all right. So I'm gonna go back and listen to our own episode so I can take my own notes like a weirdo. But I actually met with somebody today, and it made me think of this conversation. She has told me she feels like she's called to something bigger. She knows she's supposed to do something different. She removed herself from an environment that wasn't going to serve her. But now she's got all this guilt and shame that has kept her from taking action. And she told me, I don't even come to calls with Michelle or anything because I'm so ashamed of not taking action in what God's called me to do. How would you speak to somebody like that?
Man, I feel like that's me on every new level. I feel like every time there's a season of growth that I know like this is going to cost me something. This is going to cost me something to grow. I would say this. I would start by encouraging her and reminding her, you may not be where you want to be. I know that feeling. I know that feeling. It's like the curtain is pulled back on your potential, on your purpose, and you cannot unsee what you've seen in yourself. I know that feeling. You may not be where you want to be, but you are also not where you used to be. Remember that. Okay. Remember that because here's the thing. Shame is a silencer. The enemy doesn't have he doesn't have to make you be quiet. He just has to have you feel shame. You're going to quiet yourself. You hear what I'm saying? So his trick isn't to always get you to not talk about things or get you to stop growing. If he can just let you feel shame, you're going to blanket all of that yourself. Don't receive it.
Mm.
And
Nobody's
next. And
raising a
it sounds like
banner.
she already has. Like she's connected with you. That's huge step one. Listen, if I don't know Lemon that well. We're starting out on this beautiful journey. But now you know, you ain't gonna let go.
Mhm.
See, you need friends that like they know where you are. And so there's an understanding. I want friends who understand where I am, but who love me enough to know when to pull and when to just be there. Right? Like we need friends who can just be there, right? That we can have a day of feeling sorry for ourselves. My husband and I have this rule. Okay. Our marriage was a little bit unconventional. And so the first year and a half of our marriage, we went through hell. Okay. Not together, but just things from the outside, all kinds of different things just coming at us. Okay. And so we had a rule. We get 10 minutes to feel sorry for ourselves and then it's over. Stand up, wash your face. Let's go. Let's figure it out. Let's make a plan. I don't know. Go for a walk, get fresh air, take your shoes off, walk in the grass, make a plan, tackle the obstacle. Sometimes the things were not within our power to change, but guess what is within my power? My attitude. Hello. I may not be in charge of the circumstance. I may not be able to change the circumstance, but I always have authority over myself. Always. I get to choose how I want to show up in the world. And so for your friend, I'd say, listen, remind yourself that you are not where you used to be. And here's the thing the Lord told me when I started pursuing some radical change in my life, because I'm an all or nothing person. I'm all in. I'm all in. Like, yeah, I'm all in. And then the minute something happens, I'm like, shoot, I'm just whatever. I'm out. I'm out. What is going on here? And the Lord was like, okay, Rebecca, you have permission to give yourself entirely to this. You see something, you understand that change is needed, go all in. But you only have permission to give yourself entirely to this change, this growth, this development, if you're also going to grace yourself entirely through it. See, we have no problem signing up for stuff, but then we're going to beat ourselves up when we don't get it right. And friend, I'm speaking to you today, hiding in the shadows, not showing up on calls. I get it. I get it. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to call shame out from its hiding place and expose it for what it is, because it's not you. You are not the shame. You are not the shame. You are growing, and there are growing pains. Let me tell you, but you have permission to go all in as long as you grace yourself entirely through it. Because you don't want to give yourself to something that you're not going to grace yourself through. I don't ever want to. I used to think strength was like not needing help. I've since relabeled that. Okay. Foolishness. Strength is knowing that nothing of any value is ever going to be accomplished on my own. That's strength. If I want to leave a real mark, if I want to leave a real legacy, I cannot, must not, and will not be able to do it on my own. That is strength.
I
Not
love.
just buckling in and carrying burdens that you weren't meant to carry.
Ooh, friend. I'm telling you, all right, I don't wanna, like we could be here for 75 hours because of the way
Yeah.
that you pour out, and you are just it's amazing, the things that you pour out. If you had to leave the ladies with one final piece of advice,
Mm,
what would it be?
that's a great question. Oh, man. Listen, I can't have any conversation that is worth any true value without telling you today that you are not alone. If there's anything, if there's anything of value I can leave you with today, if I just had to pick one thing, you are not alone. You weren't created to be alone. You weren't meant to do life alone, not just with your community, your family, your spouse, but with the Father. See, the reason God hates sin is not because it's found in you. God doesn't hate you. God is not against you. He hates sin because sin lies to you about who you are. And then it separates you from him. See, just with your friend, she wants to grow, but like making those hard choices and realizing I'm not exactly where I want to be, that's what sin does. It causes us to hide and not show up in life like we know we were created to. And so stop letting it win. Stop letting shame win. Stop letting the pain win. Stop letting the separation win. And if you feel like you can't find God, that's okay. Invite him. He'll find you. See, the Bible doesn't say you loved God so much that you got his attention and he decided to finally look at you and decide whether you were worth loving or not. It says God so loved the world. He so loved you and I that he gave first. He first loved. He first gave. He first smiled. He first created. He first laughed. He first bled. There's nothing you're ever going to do or go through in life that he hasn't done first. Let that comfort you. You may feel like a pioneer, like you're making a way. Maybe nobody in your family or your friendship circle or your community or your subculture has ever done what you're doing. I get that feeling. It can be lonely. The enemy would love to isolate us and lie to us and whisper and say, you're the only nutcase. Nobody's ever going to get you. Who do you think you are? Just give up. He'd love to whisper that. He whispers it all the time. He still tries with me. Hello. He'd love to isolate us. One thing I want to tell you, you are not alone. You're not alone and you're going to make it. You're going to make it. Whatever it is you're facing, whatever mountain or giant you think is in front of you, this is not the end. This is not the end of your story. It's still being written. Do you have the courage to turn the page? The courage to turn the page and realize that you get to write this with the author. Like you get to write this with the author. You have a say in your story. So pick up that pen. Let him hold your hand and write it together. Write it together. Write it
Friend, all I could think about is the verse you shared. And if you don't go through these things, what are you going to put on your banner?
Whoa. I never thought of it like that.
What are you going to put on the banner if you don't
Whoa.
have anything to walk through? There's no victory.
And imagine if we were going through something and a friend came and they tell us this story. It's the same as them lifting up a banner saying, hey, I've been where you are. And look, I made it. See, your girlfriend, she's on the cusp of something. She's at the point of no return. I'll bet you she knows it too. It's like, just take that step. Be full of courage. You don't know what's on the other side of your yes.
Mm.
And you're going to be able to lift up a banner for your friends and your family and people who want to go and hide. People who are just covered in shame. You get to hold up that banner and say, listen, if I did it, you can do it too. Come on.
Ooh, guys, this is why I brought Rebecca. The conversations are always so good. This is how she is all the time. I've never known you not to be like this ever.
I get
And,
excited.
and I love it. I just love the way God uses you. And I thank you for stepping into the gifts that he has given you and just owning who you are despite everything that you've had to walk through and the things the world has thrown at you and the way the enemy tries to tear you down because this is
Yeah.
what you're meant to do. Hands
Yeah.
down, this is God's purpose for you. And I'm so grateful that you have fully stepped into that and just walk with him and then pour it back out. I will be eternally grateful for it.
That's beautiful. It's a pleasure. And listen, I want to just leave you with this encouraging note. It's not always easy. It's not always easy for me. Right? There's still challenges I face, so many things we've gone through. But I think when I decided to stop hiding and I decided to do it with God, and not try to figure it out on my own or just try and he doesn't want you to do life for him. He wants you to do life with him.
Mm,
With him.
I love that. I love you. Just thank you for being here, friend. I so beyond appreciate you.
An absolute pleasure. And let me speak to you, Lemon. You're not just a person, you're a voice. Okay? You are a way maker. I was singing that song, a maker, miracle worker, all these names of God. And as I was worshiping one time, I was leading people in worship. So I'm supposed to be paying attention. I'm leading them in worship and God says, yeah, I want you to sing that again. But this time, this is your name. This is what I call you. This isn't just what we call God. He looks back at us and says, yes, you're made in my image and likeness. Lemon, you are a way maker. You're a way maker, not just for your team, not just for your people, not just in your family, not just for your children, but you're a way maker. You're somebody who's going through the gates. You've been lifting out the stones. You're doing the hard work. You're building up a highway. Why? For the people. So that the ones who come behind you, they don't have to go through what you went through. You're a pioneer. You're going to know where to dig a well. And it's going to take time. And you almost died of thirst at this very place. But now there's a well. No one will ever have to go without water again. You build up a way station, you make a trading post, you show people their value, that they have something to offer in exchange for what they're receiving. This isn't just a charity benefit. You show people their value. This is who you are. And I want to encourage you as a voice, the greatest thing the enemy is going to try and do is silence you. How does he do that? Discrediting you. Don't receive it. Just don't receive it. You're surrounded by amazing people. You've got access to me included. Girl, reach out. If you've got to let us hold up a mirror and show you who you are, show you the image of your Father you're made in, you are a voice. You're a way maker. You're a pioneer. And I just want to encourage you with that today.
Oh, friend, I'm going to go cry now after we end this. Thank you. Just thank you for that. I love you so much. You are such an amazing woman. So just thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Hey friend, what a joy it has been to share today's journey with you. If you found a spark of inspiration or a nugget of wisdom that resonated, would you bless someone else by sharing this episode with them? It could be the encouragement they need to step into their purpose and calling. Also, if you could spare a moment to leave a review, it would mean the world to me. I really appreciate your feedback, and it really helps our community grow. Remember, the road to discovering God's call for you isn't one you have to walk alone. So join me again next Monday for another episode where we'll continue to explore the depths of leadership and the heights of our heavenly calling. Until then, keep seeking, keep growing, and keep trusting in His plan. God bless you, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye, friend.